From trash to treasure. 15 peaceful DIY garden ideas you can actually make. 1. Asterisk, a beautiful backyard scene with an old tire painted pastel yellow turned into a flower planter, next to a wooden chair with a teapot filled with daisies, glowing string lights above. Bright natural lighting, warm afternoon tone, realistic details, no filters. Asterisk. 2. Asterisk, a rustic garden corner featuring a mosaic pathway made from broken ceramic tiles, surrounded by lush greenery and a vintage colander hanging as a flower pot. Natural shadows, real-life look, slightly overgrown charm. Asterisk. 3. Asterisk, a hand gently placing a sprouting plant into a repurposed tin can, with a row of DIY garden decor in the background made from bottles, boots, and crates. Soft morning light, realistic textures, everyday objects reimagined. Asterisk. Memo tip. Include large legible text on thumbnail like DIY garden from trash, or 15 upcycling ideas that actually work. Welcome to Verdo Studio, where forgotten objects become garden treasures. In this calm, poetic guide, we'll show you 15 peaceful and practical DIY garden ideas using upcycled materials. From old tires and teapots to bottles, chairs, and kitchenware. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned gardener, these ideas will inspire you to transform everyday junk into stunning outdoor decor. Each idea is beautifully narrated with gentle tips and soul-soothing visuals, perfect for anyone who values sustainability, creativity, and quiet living. What you'll discover. Asterisk easy upcycled garden lighting. Asterisk vertical gardening with plastic bottles. Asterisk mosaic pathways using broken dishes. Asterisk fairy gardens from junk drawer bits. Asterisk birdhouses made from mugs and teapots. This video was thoughtfully curated and partially written using AI to support creativity, not replace it. We hope you feel calm, inspired, and ready to try these ideas at home. Subscribe to Verdo Studio for more peaceful DIY inspirations every week. Upcycling garden ideas, DIY garden decor, garden DIY from trash, recycle garden ideas, repurpose garden crafts, garden upcycle project, trash to treasure garden, junk into garden decor, relaxing garden DIY, creative garden hacks, mosaic garden path, DIY fairy garden, garden ideas for small spaces, eco garden decor, vertical garden DIY, reuse old items garden, DIY garden lighting, peaceful garden DIY, relaxing DIY inspiration, garden makeover DIY. As dusk rolls over your garden, a quiet transformation begins. You step outside with a box of old jars, ones that once held jam, honey, and pickles, now washed and waiting to glow again. This evening they won't be tossed. Instead, they'll become vessels of light, memory, and atmosphere. One by one, you place tiny LED lights or gentle tea candles inside them. Mason jars dangle like glowing fireflies from low-hanging branches, held by loops of twine. Old wine bottles, tucked upright into the soil, shimmer like beacons along the garden path, their colored glass catching the fading sun before yielding to the soft hum of light within. With every jar you place, the garden becomes warmer, not just in light, but in feeling. This is more than illumination. It's a way to stretch time, to hold on to the evening a little longer. There's no need for perfection. Some jars are chipped, others clouded, and yet they shine all the same. Their imperfections make the light feel honest, like something earned, something lived in. If you have old tin cans, punch them with nail and hammer to create delicate starbursts or floral shapes. The candlelight flickers through the holes, casting tiny constellations on nearby walls. Hang them from fences or nestle them among the flower beds, letting them whisper stories to the wind. Tip: use solar-powered garden LEDs for safety and sustainability. They charge during the day and glow effortlessly at night. In the end, your garden becomes a place where light feels personal, where waste becomes wonder, and where the ordinary, glass jars, bottles, old cans, are quietly reborn as little lanterns of joy. It starts with fragments, discarded tiles, weathered wood, forgotten bricks. You gather them like puzzle pieces from the past, their edges worn by time, their patterns faded but still beautiful. This is your material, your palette. The earth beneath your feet becomes canvas. You kneel, place each tile by instinct rather than plan. Blue beside cream, a rose pattern broken and repeated, a swirl of color through a field of soil. No two steps are alike. As you work, birdsong drifts overhead and a breeze rustles the trees, as if the garden itself watches this quiet restoration. Old palettes, once bound for scrap, now offer structure. Cut into clean planks, they line the path's edge or form a rustic center trail. Their wood is imperfect, knotted, splintered, but sealed with natural oils and laid with care, they blend gently into the garden's rhythm. Path made not just for walking but for wandering. You line the edges with gravel or moss, letting nature soften the borders. Maybe you tuck thyme between cracks, allowing scent to rise with every footstep. Each part of the path feels like a memory reborn. Tip: lay a layer of sand or compacted soil underneath for stability. Use a mix of cement and soil grout if you want a permanent hold, or leave it loose for flexibility. What once was waste now leads the way. Not in straight lines but in stories. Of colors that survived decades, of wood that held weight and weathered storms, now guiding you gently through the garden. When space is tight but your love for greenery grows wild, the only direction left is up. You gather what most would throw away. Plastic bottles, worn-out pallets, perhaps even an old shoe rack. Each of them bears the mark of daily life, ordinary and overlooked. But you see something else. The bones of a vertical garden waiting to bloom. A wooden pallet leans gently against the back wall. Its slats become shelves. With a drill and a bit of care, you attach cut plastic bottles like blooming pockets. Their once clear surfaces now glow in pastel blues and soft yellows, painted by your own hand. Each one cradles life. Basil curling toward the light, marigold standing proud, rosemary reaching outward with piney breath. You hang the bottles in staggered rows, mindful of sunlight and drainage. Holes at the base let the water trickle gently from row to row, a small ecosystem climbing skyward. And around it, your garden takes shape not outward, but upward, bursting with color and scent against the wall of your home. A fabric shoe organizer, perhaps once buried in a closet, finds new purpose too. Hung on a sunny balcony, its pockets cradle soil and seeds. Soon tiny green shoots peek out like curious eyes, hungry for light. Tip: use a mixture of potting soil and compost to keep it light but nutritious. Choose herbs, succulents, or small vegetables that thrive in shallow containers. This vertical patchwork doesn't just save space. It turns waste into a living wall of joy. And every time you step outside, your garden greets you face to face, blooming upward, as if rising from nothing. There's something poetic in the way metal hums when touched by wind. Not loud, not intrusive, just a gentle clink, a memory in motion. You open the old kitchen drawer, the one filled with mismatched spoons, rusted graters, bent forks. These tools once stirred soups, measured flour, and carried family stories. Today they will sing again, but not in the kitchen. With wire and a piece of driftwood, you begin to string them. A colander becomes the crown. Spoons hang like silver petals, their bowls facing downward to catch the breeze. Forks and ladles chime beside them, each movement small but deliberate. You add beads, blue, amber, green, threaded like tiny stars between the metal, catching light as they twirl. You hang it from a low tree branch near the lavender bush. The sound it makes is delicate, irregular, alive. It doesn't demand attention. It simply waits for the wind. And when it comes, the garden listens. A second chime hangs nearby, made from measuring cups, whisks, even a rolling pin handle. No two notes are the same. This orchestra of the forgotten plays softly in the background, its music woven with scent and sun. Tip: use fishing line or thin steel wire for durability. Mix materials, metal, ceramic, wood, to create layers of sound and texture. Hang where the wind finds you, not where you force it. What was once silent in a drawer now whispers in the breeze. Your garden, once still, now hums with memory, melody, and soul, born from the most ordinary things. You wander through the house, not searching for beauty, but finding it in the most unlikely things. An old pair of boots by the back door, scuffed and weathered. A teapot with a missing lid. A metal colander whose best kitchen days are long behind it. They're not trash. They're vessels. And with soil, seeds, and a little imagination, they're ready to bloom. You fill the boots with earth, letting soil rest where socks once did. Daisies rise from them like laughter, white and wild. Lined along the fence, they look almost mischievous, as if ready to march off into the garden. You leave the muddy prints on the rubber, the past still clinging to the soles. The teapot is next, its spout now a cradle for trailing time. You set it atop a crate, just beneath a patch of sun, and it becomes a quiet centerpiece. Ceramic warmth and growing life in soft harmony. The handle catches dew in the morning. The flowers nod gently in the breeze. Above you the colander sways. Its holes perfect for drainage, its handles tied with twine to the limb of an old pear tree. Inside, strawberries ripen slowly, their red warmth peeking through cascading leaves. Even the birds seem to pause when they see it. Tip: always drill extra drainage holes if needed. Line the bottom with pebbles or coarse sand. Choose plants that suit the container size. Herbs, succulents, or trailing flowers thrive best. And so, the garden grows, not with plastic pots or store-bought planters, but with stories. Objects once forgotten now bloom with purpose. They bring a smile, a memory, and most of all, a reminder that beauty doesn't ask for perfection, just attention. In the dappled shade of your backyard, comfort takes on a new shape. Here, your seat may once have rolled down highways or supported crates in storage rooms, but today, it rests in stillness, reimagined. A pair of old tires, scrubbed clean and painted with soft pastel hues, now cradle a plump round cushion. You press your palm against the rubber, still faintly warm from the afternoon sun. It's solid, familiar, and inviting. Beside it, a bench rises from weathered pallet wood. The planks are uneven, worn with grain and nail holes, but you sand them gently, respecting their past. With a coat of sealant and a few mismatched pillows, it becomes a throne for tea, books, or stories shared at dusk. Around the fire pit, tree stumps offer another kind of welcome. Their rings tell of decades in silence, now called to circle and witness laughter. Each stump is topped with a hand-tied cushion, nothing fancy but deeply felt. You light the fire, and overhead, fairy lights flicker like stars that decided to linger a little closer to Earth. Tip: when using tires, scrub thoroughly and seal with weather-resistant paint. For pallets, ensure they're heat-treated. Look for the HT stamp to avoid chemical residues. Add wheels to larger benches for easy mobility. What you build isn't just seating. It's memory made tangible. You don't just sit, you pause. You breathe. You gather. And your garden, filled with reused forms and human hands, becomes not just a space, but a place. Before the sun fully rises, they arrive. Tiny, feathered, weightless joys with fluttering wings and curious eyes. And waiting for them, perched like a memory reborn, is your grandmother's old teapot. No longer hidden in the cupboard, it now cradles life. Side-mounted on a wooden post, the spout reaching toward the sky like a curious nose, its rounded belly hollowed gently to welcome sparrows. A tiny perch below invites rest. Inside, quiet shelter. 50. Nearby, a simple mug swings softly from a branch, its handle looped with twine, filled with seed and sunlight. Birds come and go, dipping beaks and rustling wings. It's not perfect, the rim is chipped, the glaze cracked, but to them it's a banquet. And in the corner of the garden, a wooden crate has found its second life. Once used for tools, now a home. You've added a sloped roof, trimmed an entryway, and perched a glued-on teacup just above the doorway. More charm than function, but it catches the morning dew like a gift. Tip: ensure each birdhouse has proper drainage and ventilation. Avoid painting the inside. Choose sheltered spots, away from too much wind or predators. And keep feeders clean to prevent disease. These aren't just feeders. They're invitations. To birds, yes, but also to you. An invitation to slow down, to watch, to witness life that asks for nothing but space and stillness. In upcycling, you don't just save an object, you rewrite its story. And in your garden, the birds sing it back to you, one soft note at a time. The air hums differently when water moves. Soft, slow, rhythmic, like nature exhaling. In one quiet corner of your garden, a forgotten bucket now speaks in ripples. Galvanized and time-worn, it rests atop a stone slab. A copper pipe, pulled from a plumbing relic, arcs over its lip. You connect a tiny submersible pump, and suddenly, a thin stream begins to fall. Teddy. Antle. The pebbles below glisten, the sound is low and constant, like rain remembered. A few steps away, a bathtub dreams again. Buried halfway into the earth, its clawed feet now cradled by creeping time. You fill it with water, lay a bed of dark stone across the bottom, and release floating lilies onto its mirrored surface. In the center, a solar-powered fountain tosses droplets into the air. Birds gather, dragonflies dance. Nearby, a sculpture forms from chaos. Enamel bowls, watering cans, and bent pans, once scattered, now stacked and shaped into a cascading tower. Each container feeds the next in a slow-motion tumble, water trickling downward like time. Moss creeps up the base, and tall grasses sway beside it. Feels wild but chosen, designed yet soft. Tip: use solar fountains to avoid wiring. Hide pumps with stones or aquatic plants. Rinse containers thoroughly before use to remove rust or residue. These aren't just water features. They're living, breathing moments. They offer a pause, shift in tempo, a soundscape for morning coffee or twilight stillness. You didn't build a pond. You built peace. They said it was broken. You said it wasn't finished. In a basket once destined for the trash, there lie shards of a teacup, the smooth curve of a blue saucer, the rim of a plate with faded roses. Their edges are jagged now, but the colors still whisper stories. And when arranged side by side, they begin to sing again. You start with a stepping stone, one simple circle of concrete. You press the pieces in like puzzle fragments, not seeking symmetry, but emotion. Joy in the yellow bloom, memory in the floral rim. A fragment of mirror catches the light and suddenly, the path doesn't just lead somewhere, it glows. Then a wall becomes your canvas. You mix tile adhesive and begin to place mirrored shards, bits of tile, even broken glass marbles. The shape that emerges is your own. A sunburst, a wave, a wild garden blooming from your hands. With grout and patience, chaos becomes coherence. And when the light hits it just right, your garden doesn't reflect you. It mirrors your imagination. An old bench joins in. Once dull wood, now a living seat of stories, every inch covered in color and shine. The plates may be broken, but their beauty remains. And you've set it free. Tip: use waterproof adhesive and outdoor grout. Smooth sharp edges with sandpaper or a ceramic file for safety. Let the pieces sit slightly below the surface for durability. In every chip, a history. In every piece, a place to begin again. Your mosaic isn't about perfection. It's about presence, of hands, heart, and time. The furniture you once lived with, the chair you rocked in, the dresser you filled with sweaters, the ladder that stood quietly in the corner, now steps into the sunlight. Against the back wall of your garden, the old dresser finds its second life. Each drawer pulled out just enough, angled like an open bloom. Inside, you press in soil and gently nestle geraniums, marigolds, trailing lobelia. From a distance, it looks as if the flowers themselves are climbing out, eager to greet the day. A coat of weatherproof paint, maybe sage green or soft lilac, helps it blend with the garden's natural charm. Nearby, a broken chair is no longer a chair. Its seat removed. A planter now rests within its frame. Yellow paint wraps the wood like a smile. You place cheerful pansies inside, their heads nodding in the breeze. It stands not just as a holder of plants, but as a conversation, a memory-turned centerpiece. And then the ladder, no longer for climbing but for growing. Each step holds a pot, thyme, rosemary, basil. The top step cradles a lantern, the bottom a watering can. A vine curls up one side like it, too, remembers how to rise. Tip: seal wood with outdoor varnish to protect from moisture. Use plastic liners or shallow pots inside drawers and surfaces to extend furniture life. Secure ladders with a stake or wall bracket for safety. Your garden doesn't just bloom, it speaks. In layered drawers, empty frames, and patient wood, it tells a story of what once was, and what, with care, can always become again. Beneath the wide sky, the garden becomes a storybook, each corner filled with laughter, imagination, and small, muddy hands. Old tires, once fast and forgotten, now rest in bright colors along the lawn. Painted in vivid red, sunshine yellow, and sea blue, they stand half buried in a playful curve, ready for crawling, climbing, or hiding. To children, they're tunnels, fortresses, or maybe magical caves. You watch as joy bounces between rubber and giggles. Under the oak, a mud kitchen waits. Wooden crates stacked and nailed together, sturdy but humble. A second-hand sink bowl, a few old pots, rusted muffin tins, ladles with bent handles, each item offered without instruction. Children create their own recipes from sand and grass, water and imagination. In this corner, time melts into wonder. Nearby, an old canoe lies nestled in clover, no longer meant for rivers. Its hollow now lined with pillows and well-loved books. Overhead, fairy lights strung from branch to branch blink slowly awake. It becomes a quiet nook, a pause between play, a boat that sails through stories instead of water. Tip: for tire safety, scrub thoroughly and seal with child-safe paint. Anchor structures into the ground. Use natural shade or build a simple canopy for sun protection. This garden isn't just built for beauty, it's designed for joy. For scraped knees and secret hideouts, for whispered games and loud laughter. You've created more than a play zone. You've made a memory field where the materials are humble, but the magic is endless. In one corner of your garden stands something old. It once held dreams, cradled heads, and carried the quiet weight of sleep. Today it cradles vines. A wrought iron bed frame, rust-kissed and full of scrollwork, now rises as a trellis. Its vertical lines and curled motifs form the perfect maze for roses to climb, twisting through memory and metal. You prop it up gently against the garden wall. Already, green tendrils reach for it, as if recognizing a place to grow. Nearby, 2 bicycle wheels turn once more, not with motion but with purpose. You fix them to stakes side by side, their spokes forming radiant suns. Pea vines begin their journey upward, wrapping the steel with quiet strength. When light strikes the spokes just right, they shimmer. Not fast like riding, but slow like watching something learn to live again. And there, leaning like forgotten scaffolding, a grid of mattress springs. Rusted, rectangular, rigid. You hang it on the fence and plant morning glories beneath it. Within weeks, blooms emerge like velvet butterflies, weaving color through geometry. Tip: secure your structures firmly. Bed frames into the soil, wheels with brackets, springs with hooks. Rust can add charm but treat sharp edges for safety. Choose lightweight climbers like sweet peas, clematis, or beans for the most satisfying effect. This isn't just support. It's structure repurposed, shape reclaimed. You don't just guide your plants, you offer them a stage. And with each climb, bloom, and twist, your garden becomes a gallery of growth made possible by the past. You step into your garden with a box of old kitchenware, utensils that once clattered in drawers, colanders that drained Sunday dinners, and rolling pins worn smooth by years of pastry. Now they find their place under open sky. You begin with the colanders. Their bowls, pierced with tiny holes, become perfect planters. You line them with coconut coir and Nestle basil, thyme, or even pansies inside. Then you mount them to the garden fence, where sunlight trickles through their patterned shadows. The scent of herbs rises gently as bees drift in and out, unaware that they're dancing through yesterday's kitchen. Near the shed, you attach rolling pins sideways along the wall. Their handles still spin, weathered by flour and time. You wrap garden hoses around one, hang tools from the others. They're not just functional, they're familiar, like trusted old friends who've taken on new roles. On a reclaimed plank of wood, you line up metal ladles and tiny frying pans, each one filled with soil, planted with succulents, hens and chicks, sedum, tiny tendrils of green. The curve of the spoon becomes cradle. The surface of the pan becomes stage. Every plant a surprise in miniature. Tip: add small drainage holes if needed, and coat items with clear outdoor sealant for longevity. Use strong screws or hooks to mount heavier pieces securely. These objects may never cook again, but they still nourish. Not bellies but spaces. Not with meals but with meaning. What was once held in your hands is now held by the earth. A different kind of usefulness. A quieter kind of beauty. You don't build a fence, you compose it. Not from identical planks but from stories. Turquoise door with peeling paint. A shutter that once clicked open to the sea breeze. A bicycle wheel bent at the rim. In your hands, these pieces are no longer junk. They're the start of a boundary that doesn't shut the world out. It invites it in. You begin with doors, each one different. Tall, narrow, solid oak. One still has a doorknob. You line them up side by side, letting their personalities mingle. A fresh coat of paint. Perhaps, or perhaps not. There's beauty in the faded, in the honest. They stand together like old friends, creating a garden wall full of character and color. Next, shutters. Wooden slats once folded against afternoon sun. You stack them low, weave them between posts. Ivy finds them quickly, curling through their gaps like thread through a needle. The result is delicate. Less a fence and more a whisper of privacy. And finally, the bicycle wheels. Upright, gleaming in the light. Their spokes catch the sun, casting shadows that turn with the hours. Planted in a row, they look like sculpture. Like motion paused just long enough to grow something. Tip: use metal brackets or buried wooden posts for stability. Protect wood with outdoor sealant. 4 bike wheels, remove rubber and clean rust to preserve their form. Your fence won't match the neighbor's. It may not match itself. But it holds your garden like a poem, line by line, memory by memory, turning discard into enclosure, and enclosure into art. Sometimes the magic is small. So small, in fact, that it lives in a drawer. You open it to find old buttons, bottle caps, a broken keychain, a thimble, bits of ribbon, and paper clips bent beyond repair. Junk? Not quite. To the ordinary eye, perhaps. But to the quiet dreamer, they're building blocks for something enchanted. In a shady patch beneath your favorite tree, you lay the foundation. Popsicle stick becomes a door. Coin its doorknob. Pebbles mark the winding path through soft moss. And a broken earring becomes a glimmering lantern hung from a twig. The scene builds slowly, in secret. Not for spectacle, but for joy. You turn an old drawer on its side, nestling it among the foliage. Inside, it becomes a world. A table made from a cork, chairs from walnut shells. Bits of dried flowers rest like bouquets on windowsills shaped from broken tiles. A string of tiny beads stretches from corner to corner like garden lights waiting for twilight. Nearby, a terracotta pot lies gently on its side, cracked and quiet. You brush soil into its hollow and build a home within. Ceramic shards for roofing, wire twisted into a curved gate. It is small but full of care. Tip: use waterproof glue and seal delicate items with clear varnish. Tuck fairy gardens into low-traffic corners, where children or curious squirrels can discover them with delight. This isn't just decoration. It's an invitation to wonder, a whisper to the child inside you. In these tiny spaces made from forgotten scraps, you give magic room to live. And your garden, filled with life-sized stories, now holds miniature ones too. Dengan senang hati. Berikut adalah narasi penyata berdurasi plus or minus 300 kata, disusun dengan bahasa storytelling yang indah, tenang dan hangat. Kokok untuk voice over atau TTS, text-to-speech, sekaligus menyampaikan informasi dan mengajak penonton untuk subscribe secara lembut dan elegan. And so, dear listener, we've wandered together through quiet corners and sun-dappled paths, where forgotten objects found their second breath, and gardens became more than soil and seed. You've seen how a single teacup can become a bird's resting place. How a weathered ladder, long past its prime, can rise again, this time as a stage for green things to grow. You've heard the whisper of wind chimes made from old spoons, the hush of water falling from a bucket once meant for labor, now meant for peace. In every broken tile, every bent fork, every dusty bottle left behind, there waits a little beauty, just beneath the surface. All it needs is a moment. And your hands. This isn't just about decor. It's about presence. About pausing long enough to see value in what the world has tossed aside. It's about finding meaning in reuse, and poetry in imperfection. At Verdo Studio, we believe that creativity and calm can live side by side. That the humblest object can become something luminous. That gardens are not only grown, they are composed, piece by piece, memory by memory. If these stories moved you, if your heart felt quieter for a moment, or your hands began to itch for scissors, soil and string, then stay with us. Subscribe to Verdo Studio for more inspirations like this, where trash turns to treasure, and every video feels like a soft breath of morning air. Thank you for spending your time here. Until next time. Stay gentle, stay curious, and let beauty grow where no one thought to look.